Hi, good morning everybody. This is Nicholas still from CMC Singapore. 3rd of August, first trading day of August. Just a few things to actually point out. 9:45, we will get the purchasing managers or PMI numbers from the US. This is from China. These are the HSBC manufacturing final numbers, which more or less collates the smaller to medium enterprises or industries down there. But essentially the market is actually calling for a well, this was previously announced 49.4, and this comes on the back of Saturday's number, the official number that was announced by the PMI at 50 against a forecast of 50.2, and this against a 50.2 previous read. So essentially the market is on a very early basis reacting to this 50 number, which was a slight miss from the expectations of 50.2, and we are seeing off the bat a negative reaction on some of the Northern Asian markets, namely the Chinese or Greater Chinese markets of the China A50, Hong Kong 43, which is the Hang Seng, or the Hong Kong Chinese Enterprise, or rather the HCS index, all of which are actually taking a bit of a slide this early trade in the morning down here. Now it remains to be seen, but I think we will probably see some sort of a reaction on that because the HSBC numbers is perhaps a little bit more widely followed. Now on the local front, there is some news on Noble. Noble this morning came out with a pre-earnings sort of a briefing suggesting that business is still actually intact, and they have no idea why their stocks have been actually hammered to this sort of level. We put out a note early this morning sort of echoing what they have just released. We suggest that profits or their earnings announcements are actually going to be brought forward to next week, and they are basically saying that whilst they are seeing a little bit of a slippage on there, it is still very much business as usual for the group. Now what they've also highlighted is that they are in talks with several parties with regards to various options, with regards to refinancing or financing, or perhaps also strategic investments. This has caused a very sharp early move on the stock on the positive side. If I were to just pull this up, Noble, as most remember, has been actually hammered for most of this year, starting from a high of February, and this was on the back of a attack on the company shares by Iceberg and subsequently by Muddy Waters, both of whom are so-called short sellers of the company. There were quite a few allegations made of the group, which suggest that accounting practices may not be up to speed, and also that Noble would probably have to clean up their act a lot more, perhaps not giving investors any sort of a confidence where some of their practices or common practices are done. Now over the last 3, 4, 5 months or so, the stock has actually been sliding precipitously without finding any sort of a base. That everything accelerated late last week or middle of last week when the stock broke this very key level of 63 cents or so down here. In the last 4 or 5 days of move, the stock sort of plunged to a depth of around 43.5, 44, sort of closing low on Friday itself. This morning we are seeing a little bit of an uptick, although we are seeing that uptick being lost gradually in the early mornings, but clearly this state of a sell down of almost a well, first of all, the sell down has been almost about 60%, but this sell down here of almost 22% over the last 2-3 days or so clearly highlights the stock is in a very is in a state of capitulation. Because the volume down here on Friday of about 300 million shares or so is almost 3 times what they were the previous day here of about 100 million shares, and this in essence is about 10 times what they were previously in many of those days down here. Now this news and these announcements might set things off for a rebound. We could see some stabilization down there, or at least we won't see any major further sell down from here. At least we don't expect until the results get announced and more information on the company gets released. But clearly for those people who are in a short position, there may be so-called incentive to actually cover those shorts, purely because the stock has been actually wrecked down very hard in 2-3 days period, but also because of this news perhaps that may suggest that they are talking to different parties, which may sort of do a corporate move. In either case, Noble at this level seems to be in an oversold position, and it's something that we just wanted to point out to our listeners who have been following this company for at least the last 6 months or so. But essentially, markets are off to a reasonably weaker start down here, and this actually comes off Friday's so-called sell down. But I think the key thing will be on Friday this week, when the US will be announcing their payroll numbers, which is their non-farm payroll numbers, which is, I think, the mother of all numbers that would be followed where the market is concerned, followed closely purely because of the potential impact it will have on Mrs. Yellen making her big decision to actually move on rates. Expectations are for a 218,000 jobs form, and this is for July, which is actually close to where it was previously, but any number between 200 to 300 would still set the cards for a rate hike later on this year. Anyway, happy trading. Thank you very much.